ready to dive into some serious urban jungle. Well, the Southern California version, at least. Los Angeles, growth. What happens when development and the environment collide?
A tale as old as time, really.
And we've got the sources to unpack it all.
Southern California, incredible economic engine, right?
Yeah,
But all that growth, it's a strain on resources, changes the landscape, sparks debate.
for sure. And what really struck me was how these huge issues, they play out in these very specific local ways, like that proposed development in Orange County.
Exactly. This proposal, 288 multifamily units, commercial space, right near that wetland, what's it called? Mixed wetland hardwood.
Yeah, near Boggy Creek Road, right?
That's the one. Really gets at that tension we see throughout these sources. You imagine being at that community meeting, residents worried about traffic, their neighborhood changing, the environment.
Orlando Kissimmee Farms, that's the subdivision.
Right, right. And you can practically feel the tension just reading the meeting minutes.
Totally. This anxiety about rapid development, it's almost like a microcosm of this bigger picture, areas going from rural to suburban or urban.
Absolutely. And it's not like those worries are unfounded. Think about it. To even get this proposal off the ground, you're navigating this maze of permits, wetland impacts, surface water. We're talking county regulations, state agencies, even the feds getting involved.
Wow. So it's not just about throwing up some buildings.
No, not at all.
It's about how those buildings impact what existing ecosystems, water resources.
The whole environmental picture.
Exactly.
Even in this one development, you see it all. You've got potential disruption of like listed species, the sand skink, I think it was.
Yeah.
Then those crazy permitting processes, Orange County Environmental Protection Division.
Wasn't the South Florida Water Management District involved too?
They were. It's a web, for sure. But it makes you realize what's at stake. And that actually brings us to another thing.
Sure.
How do we even create these, more livable, sustainable cities? We've got those sources comparing Portland and Los Angeles. Totally different approaches.
Right. And this is what I find so interesting. Most people, they hear Portland, they think smart growth. They've got it all figured out.
Right, the poster child. Urban growth, boundary,
Uh,
density, the whole 9 yards.
But what our research suggests, it's not so simple.
Not at all.
I think a lot of people just assume Portland's the winner, hands down. Diversity, affordability, you name it.
You'd think, right.
Yeah.
But when you actually compare the neighborhoods, Portland versus L.A.,
Yeah.
Los Angeles, surprisingly high level of, we could call it incidental smart growth.
Incidental smart growth.
Okay, gotta unpack that one. What does that even mean?
So Portland, they're planning, it's deliberate, regional.
Right.
LA, they've kind of stumbled into this more diverse housing pattern. Like there's actually more housing diversity within LA neighborhoods. Interesting. And that's what a key part of the whole smart growth idea.
Exactly.
So how did LA get there? Like this mix of uses, diverse housing, without even really trying.
Proposition 13. That California property tax thing.
Yeah.
Unintended consequences. That pushed Los Angeles towards more mixed-use development.
Wait, hold up. You're saying a law meant for tax relief ended up shaping the whole urban landscape?
It did. Because of Prop 13, cities, LA included, they had to get creative about revenue. That meant encouraging a wider range of development, more property tax income.
Wow, it's like these ripple effects, totally unrelated policies shaping everything.
Totally. And speaking of unintended consequences, let's talk about those thirsty urban trees.
All right, let's branch out, so to speak. I'll admit, I never really gave much thought to how much water a city tree actually drinks.
Easy to overlook, right? Trees, they seem kind of passive, just there.
Yeah.
But they're interacting with the environment, especially when it comes to water.
Okay, so how much water are we talking? Give me the details.
We're talking about research, 15 different tree species, the kind you find all over LA. And their water needs, they're all over the map. One London planet tree. Almost 180 kilograms of water daily.
180 kilograms. Whoa, that's like, what, almost 400 pounds of water just for one tree? I mean, in Southern California, that's huge.
Huge. And that's just one London planet tree. Think about it. Thousands, millions of trees all over a city like LA.
Yeah.
That's a serious impact on water, especially in a drought.
So it's not just about let's plant more trees. It's got to be the right trees, right?
Yeah.
Trees that can handle it.
Exactly. Drought-tolerant species.
Yeah.
And then how you're watering them, efficient irrigation. Even thinking about like the urban heat island, right?
Yeah.
Trees can help with that, but that also affects water demand.
It's all connected.
It is. And those connections, they go beyond just water and trees. Our sources, they also highlight this link between air quality
Okay.
and something you might not expect.
What's that?
Real estate values.
Now you've got to explain this one. Air quality,
Yeah.
affecting housing prices.
So there was this research. They looked at visibility, how far you can see back in 1980s Los Angeles.
Okay.
Even small improvements in visibility,
Yeah.
it actually had a positive impact on what people were willing to pay for a home.
So a clearer view, even a little bit, meant higher property values.
Exactly. It shows you these environmental factors, even the ones we don't think about every day.
Right.
They play a role in like these big economic decisions.
It makes you wonder what other hidden connections are out there. Right. And speaking of connections, we can't talk about urban development and forget about the people.
Right.
We've got sources, everything from the 2008 foreclosure crisis to what it's like being an undocumented immigrant in Southern California.
And those things are more related than you might think.
Exactly.
The 2008 crisis, it wasn't just about housing.
Right. It completely reshaped neighborhoods, and not always how we might think, right? I mean, sure, you hear white flight to the suburbs, but our sources on LA County,
It's more nuanced than that.
well more nuanced.
It wasn't just, wealthy white families leaving. Our research shows a lot of owner-occupants, all backgrounds, they were drawn to cheaper housing, even if it was way out in the exurbs. Long commutes, the whole deal.
Makes sense though, right? Those foreclosure deals, they were tempting, even if it meant moving further away from where the jobs were.
Exactly. Which gets to this question of, employment, right? Where are the jobs? As the region grows, are they all still downtown? Or are things shifting?
Well, the good news is we've actually got some data on that. It maps out those employment hubs, the ones beyond downtown LA.
Oh, interesting. What's this show?
It's fascinating. We're not just talking about one main center anymore. We're talking multiple hubs, each with their own thing, industries, commute patterns.
So it's like the West Side, the Valley, even Orange County, they're becoming their own centers of gravity.
Exactly. And that has huge implications. How do you plan transportation for that? What about housing costs if people want to live near where they work?
Right. It's not enough to just have the physical stuff, the roads, the houses. It's got to be equitable, too.
Right. Like, can people actually access these new jobs no matter where they live or their background? What about essential services, healthcare, schools? Are those keeping up with all this change?
It's like you need to rethink the whole region, make sure everyone benefits, not just a few.
Exactly. And speaking of social services, this research on how cities in LA County responded to homelessness back in the 90s, it's really telling.
Oh, yeah. Back then, homelessness, it was becoming more of a suburban issue.
Right, like as the suburbs grew, so did the problem, but the way different cities responded.
Night and day.
Totally. Some cities, they stepped up, provided services. Others, it was like, not in my backyard, push the problem somewhere else.
It's easier to ignore a problem than to solve it, right?
It's like this disconnect, The region's growing, but the willingness to deal with these social issues, not so much.
And who suffers?
Hmm.
The most vulnerable. We're not talking theory here. We're talking real lives.
Exactly. It's heartbreaking, really. It makes you wonder how much those decisions or lack of decisions back then are still affecting things today.
Important to think about. And it highlights how local stuff, local policies, they're tied to these bigger regional trends. You can't separate them.
We're all connected, right?
Exactly. And on that note of interconnectedness, we also came across some sources about the unique challenges faced by undocumented Latino immigrants in Orange County.
Right, especially when it comes to healthcare.
Huge issue.
We're talking about people facing so many barriers to even basic care.
Language, cultural differences, fear of deportation, it all adds up.
And the research is clear. When people can't access healthcare, it affects everyone. It's a public health issue.
Exactly. Healthcare, it's not just an individual thing. It's a shared responsibility. And that's true whether we're talking about undocumented immigrants or making sure healthcare is available across the region, or even something like, how urbanization makes natural disasters worse.
Like floods.
Exactly.
Which, speaking of, I think it's time we dive into that. Los Angeles, all that concrete.
The concrete jungle?
What happens when the rain falls?
That's the question, isn't it? Because you've got rivers, creeks, watersheds all over the place.
Right, but so many of them are paved over now. It's like we turn these natural drainage systems into
A concrete maze.
basically. And the research on floods in LA, it shows how much this has changed the way water flows. So what happens when it rains, say, in a really built-up area versus somewhere more natural?
Night and day. In a city, all that concrete, asphalt, it creates what we call impervious surfaces. Basically, water can't soak in.
So instead of seeping into the ground, it just runs off.
Exactly. And way faster than it would naturally. That means a lot more water in a shorter amount of time hitting those storm drains.
And those storm drains better be ready.
They often aren't. All that runoff, it leads to what we call higher peak flows. Huge strain on the system.
Hence, the flooded streets, the overwhelmed drains, the whole deal.
Exactly. And it's not just the volume, it's a timing. In a natural watershed, the water would be released slowly.
Right.
But in the city, it's this sudden surge.
Like, we've engineered the perfect flood, so what can we even do about it? Just build bigger storm drains?
Well, that's part of it. But we also need to think differently. Work with nature, not against it.
I like that. So instead of just getting rid of the water, slow it down. Let it soak in.
Exactly. And that's where green infrastructure, low-impact development, those ideas come in.
Like what? Give me some examples.
I think rain gardens, green roofs, permeable pavements. Basically, they act more like natural landscapes.
So they soak up that water.
They capture it, yeah.
Yeah.
It can infiltrate the soil, replenish groundwater, instead of becoming runoff.
It's like bringing nature back into the city.
Exactly. And that actually brings us to another urban design thing that can make cities more livable. Business improvement districts. BEADs.
Oh yeah, beads. I've heard of those. It's like businesses in an area, they team up to make things better, right?
Exactly. Collective action. For the greater good. Usually a main street, downtown, that kind of thing.
So almost like a mini government, focused on just their little area.
Kind of. They actually have a legal framework in California, lets them raise money. Assessments on property owners within the district.
And they use that money for like street cleaning, security.
All that beautification projects too. The whole point is to create a better environment. Cleaner, safer, more inviting.
So it's a way to deal with those hyper-local issues that might not be a priority for the whole city.
You got it. And we've got a great example in Pasadena.
Oh yeah. Tell me about the Pasadena BED.
So they were focused on revitalizing their downtown. And I'm not just talking cosmetic stuff.
Real improvements.
Real improvements. They were putting money into infrastructure, public safety, the works.
How did they manage that?
They had a good budget, over $1 million a year. The city kicked in about half.
Okay.
But here's the thing. They were able to be really flexible, responsive. More than your typical city government.
Less bureaucracy.
Way less. They weren't bogged down by all that. So they could be more agile, come up with solutions that actually fit their district.
I like it. Local solutions for local problems. But zooming out a bit, with all these big challenges, the growth, the environment, social equity.
That's a lot.
It is. And they're all tangled up together.
Right.
That's what makes this stuff so complicated. No easy answers. But that's why it's important to dive into it, you know? Connect those dots. Get a better understanding.
It is a lot to think about. But you're right. Running away doesn't really solve anything. We got to try to make sense of it all.
Exactly. And one thing that really jumps out from all these sources is that you can't just focus on one thing at a time.
Right? Like, you can't just build a bunch of new apartments and hope the traffic figures itself out.
Yeah.
Or just focus on clean air and forget about jobs.
All connected.
Like that whole Proposition 13 thing.
Yeah.
Right. Totally unintended consequences.
Exactly. And that's why we need this research, this data.
We got to understand the trends, the patterns. Yeah.
Huh.
What's really driving change in Southern California? And then we have to be able to explain it, you know, in a way that makes sense to the people making decisions, to everyone, really.
Because at the end of the day, it's about making good choices, right? As individuals, as a region, choices that are going to shape the future.
And that future, it's being written right now. Every new development, every policy, every conversation, it's all part of it.
Makes you think about the legacy we're leaving, you know? What will Southern California look like in 20 years, 50 years? Are we making it better, more fair, more livable?
Or are we making the problems worse?
Exactly. And there's no easy answers, right? But talking about it, learning from the past, that's got to be the first step.
Thinking critically about the present.
To hopefully create a better future.
That's the goal.
Well said. I think we've officially deep dived as deep as we can go on this one.
We covered a lot of ground.
We really did. Everything from what's happening on one street corner to these region-wide challenges.
From a thirsty trees to,
social equity. Yeah. Healthcare. Floods. The whole 9 yards.
And I think the takeaway is clear. Everything's connected.
More than we realize.
Exactly. And the future of Southern California, it's not just something that's going to happen to us.
We're the ones making it.
So, to all our listeners out there, get informed, get involved, make your voices heard. Southern California is counting on you. And that's a wrap for this deep dive.